Hi, my name is Mary Malone of Coldwell Realty in the Luxe Service Group. I am here today with my lender of choice, Al Esposito of Guaranteed Rate Affinity. Thanks so much, Al, for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
You are so welcome. I really want to talk about the first time home buying process. And when I speak with a first time home buyer, what do you think is the first thing I ask them?
Have you been pre-approved?
Got that right. Yes. Have you been pre approved? And the reason why is we really don't know what a buyer is qualified for until they're pre approved. Can you tell me a little bit about the pre approval process for a first time home buyer?
For me, I think everyone does things a little differently, but for me, I'd like to really first start with a great introduction from you, right? And you're so good at it. Call Al, he's going to take great care of you. And just having that conversation about what their goals are in real estate. It just doesn't mean mortgage, right? How long they see themselves in their house for, or what their budget is on the house, or what their monthly goals are. And that allows me to then to guide them with information and start that process by getting a few things from them, getting an application, and building out a clear mortgage plan.
One thing I love about you is that you are always available. Obviously, this is a job in which we can't work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. When do
Mhm.
buyers go look for homes? After working on weekends. So we are readily available both as lenders and real estate agents. And I really do appreciate that about you. If a buyer would like to get pre approved, did they do give you a ring, correct? And
Yep.
then after that, do they fill out an application? How does that work?
So in today's world, I would say 80% of people are emailing me or texting me first. Even sometimes you'll do it like a joint text. But yeah, they're going to fill out a digital application. And I always give an option. I don't want to assume they want to start online, but they usually do. So I'll give an
Okay.
option over the phone, or I give them a very broken down email of what I would need from them to get started with a link to my digital app.
Now, I did recently learn there are very many first time homebuyer programs, and we will not go through them all today.
Mhm.
But are there a few that you'd like to discuss that you think would be beneficial for anybody I send over to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that. There are probably about 10 or 11, and I'll just touch on a few important ones. And obviously, you're always going to have a VA loan. It's not necessarily a first time home buyer program, but you can do as little as no money down. You could be a first time home buyer and a second buyer or a third buyer. The ones I really love the most is HomeReady and Home Possible. It's a first time home buyer program. If you have not owned a home in the last 3 years, you're actually considered a first time home buyer program. But there are income limits on that program, and that's where I come in and guide and give them information about that. The advantages of that is discounted interest rate and discounted PMI, which stands for private mortgage insurance,
Oh, thanks
which
for
is an
sharing that.
insurance we have to get.
Okay.
There's Home Ready First, which there is no income limits, and that would give you up to $8,000 on top of the interest rate being better and the mortgage insurance being better. Another one, and I'll leave it at that, is the grant program. NJHMFA offers a grant up to 22,000, depending on the county,
Wow.
for a first-time home buyer. But that program, you absolutely need to be. You can never own a home in your span of life, so you have to be a true first-time home buyer. And
Okay.
then there's FHA, which again, not necessarily always a first-time home buyer. FHA is a great loan for first-time home buyers that have maybe diverse credit or a credit event in their history, like a bankruptcy or foreclosure, things of that nature.
When would a buyer need PMI?
Most of the time, when they don't put 20% down, there are some programs that we can build in PMI if they put 10% down. It's being paid some way, but it's always 20% down or less. Less than 20% down would require the PMI. And one
Okay.
thing I'd like to bring up while I don't we're talking about that, conventional, it does drop off once you meet 20%. FHA, if you don't put more than 10% down, you have to pay for the life of the loan on an FHA loan. So I want to be very clear on that.
And then if I have a first time home buyer that chooses the route of the FHA, so in
Mhm.
order for them to eliminate the PMI, they would go to you for a refinance. Is that correct?
That's 100% correct. So they'd have to refinance once they have that 20% to get it removed.
I'd love to discuss closing costs. Can you
Mhm.
explain a little bit about what closing costs are and typically how much they are?
Absolutely. I guess we can use a rule of thumb in the industry, and I would probably say, depending on the area and the price, anywhere from really 2.5 to 3% of the price of the home. What there really are is 95% of your closing costs are going to come from vendors that you're going to have to hire to get you to the finish line. That's going to be a lender, right? There's always an application fee or a processing fee. You're going to have an attorney fee. Most of our deals hire attorneys. You have title insurance, which is a big one that protects you and the bank in regards to the title of the property. You're going to have escrows. Again, not so much really a closing cost. It's called a prepay, but it's part of your total cash to close. You're
Okay.
going to have possibly a survey fee and a recording fee. That's going to really round out the bulk of the cost. And again, we can always look at ways to offset with some of those great first-time home buyer programs we talked about.
And one of the things I typically recommend to buyers who may not have all of that cash to bring to closing for their closing costs is we certainly can ask the seller to cover closing costs. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can offer a seller concession in each product, conventional versus FHA, allow a certain percentage. But again, it's going to be on a case by case basis. And the good thing with the closing costs is that a credit cannot exceed what the total closing costs are. So you can't get 30,000 if your closing costs aren't 30,000.
Sometimes buyers are interested in townhomes or communities with HOAs. And also, if I'm going from one county to the next, the taxes do differ quite a bit. Is that something you take in account when you are pre-approving a buyer?
Absolutely. That really comes out in my fact finding call, right? And that's why I do like hopping on those calls, Mary, because I'm going to find out what kind of property they're looking at. And when I build an analysis, I actually build a website for my clients that will give them all these options with a video explaining it. And the major difference is when you buy a single family home, there's no HOA. When you buy within an association, people don't know this, but we approve your client and we approve the HOA. There's a condo project approval process. It's two separate approvals. And yes, I'm going to take a look at what condos or townhomes in the area are looking for. And I actually go the further step than most people. I call the HOA to find out if they have an HOA capital contribution fee, which is a fee to basically join into the association. And that will always vary. But you actually can just call and ask the association, hey, is it 1,000? Is it 1,500? So there's definitely some big differences between the two type of properties.
Good to know. Can you talk a little bit about having the right team working for you? I have a team that assists all of our clients. So we work together to make sure that our clients are well served from the beginning to the end of the transaction. And I feel that you work that way as well.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you asked that. I do believe who you work with matters, having the A team. For me, as a consumer, right, myself, because I am one too, is I really want to trust the realtor first on who their team is. They have that vast experience of getting through many, many transactions a year and over their career. So I just think having the best realtor that has the knowledge, expertise, that's going to really hold your hand. Someone like you that's been doing it for quite some time and you've been through so many things, you've seen so many things. Second, I believe the attorney is really important. Having a great attorney in your corner that's going to protect you on every aspect, someone that's going to be available and communicate and really protect your purchase or your sale if you're listing a home. A lender, if you can't buy cash, the lender is really important as well, right? We need someone that is going to be, that has integrity, someone that's going to be responsive. We talked about being available and someone that always has your best interest in mind to help you win in today's market. And again, we even talk about title companies, insurance companies. All those people matter, in my opinion, on to make this as easy as possible.
I agree. I don't think a lot of consumers understand that there's so many working components to a transaction. So, yes, real estate agents, we either expose you to homes or we market homes. But once there's an offer and acceptance, we are relying on so many people and organizations to get to that closing table. So, you do need to work with somebody who's reputable, whether it is your real estate agent, your lender, your title entity, or your attorney. It's really important. And I absolutely love working with you and your team. So thank you so
Well,
much.
we feel the same because you have a great team, and I know you do the best job for your clients. And it's just easy to communicate with you. And I think that's where if a buyer is wondering, well, why do I have to use their team? You don't. It's just recommended. But I have a relationship with Mary. I have a relationship with her attorney. I have a relationship with her title. I can call them possibly after hours or get responses that if I didn't work with them, they may not be as responsive. So I think it's all about that service level and that trust that we build to help you get to where you need to go. And that's the keys to your new home.
Absolutely. That's why we call ourselves the Luxe Service Group. We want to make sure we provide you with luxury service regardless of price point. Thank
I
you
love
again,
that.
Al, for joining me today. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more information. Thanks again and take care.